What if your survival depended on riding a dragon or dying trying? In a world where only the ruthless make it past day one, Fourth Wing throws you into a brutal war college where love is a weapon and trust can kill you. This isn't just fantasy, it's blood, betrayal, and dragons with teeth. If you think this is another romantic fantasy, think again. Because in Fourth Wing, even your heartbeat could be your biggest mistake. Hello, everyone. Hi, all, and welcome to Book Podcast Zone. I'm Emma.
And I'm John. We're really thrilled you're joining us today for this deep dive into Rebecca Yarros's, monumental novel, Fourth Wing. You've given us an incredible resource here. Fourth Wing, a chapter-by-chapter journey through Basgiath War College, which honestly has provided such a detailed summary, really perfect for understanding this whole phenomenon.
Yeah, it's great.
So our mission today is to thoroughly unpack every key idea, draw some fascinating historical parallels, and try to connect the narrative to compelling real-world examples, specifically from the first 39 chapters. Think of this as your shortcut to being truly well-informed about all the nuances of this captivating world.
Absolutely. And this isn't just about recapping the plot, is it? It's really an exploration of the underlying themes, the character's profound journey, and, well, the surprising insights that make Fourth Wing such a breakout sensation. We're going to distill those critical moments and really show you why they seem to resonate so deeply with so many readers. So let's begin our journey into this incredible world where dragon riders are forged not just through, rigorous training, but through literal fire.
Indeed. What's truly compelling about Fourth Wing, I think, is how Yarros constructs a fantasy world that, despite all the fantastical elements, the dragons and magic, it mirrors very real human experiences of challenge, loyalty, and transformation, and the intensity and emotion captured in the source material we're working with today. It's really going to help us bring this tension to life for you.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. Segment 1. The perilous entry into Basgiath War College, covering chapters 1 through 3. Right from those opening pages, you're just thrust into Violet Sorrengail's world, and you feel this almost immediate, overwhelming pressure. The story kicks off in what our source material calls Conscription Day, with a core revelation. Violet. She's 20 years old. She's spent her life training for quiet academic pursuits, planning to be a scribe.
A safe path.
Exactly, a safe path. And then, boom, she's abruptly forced into the brutally dangerous Riders Quadrant. And this isn't her choice. It's a direct command from her formidable mother, General Sorrengail.
Right, Deirdre.
Yeah. It forces us, the readers, I think, to immediately confront this theme that sometimes the most profound personal growth, it doesn't come from challenges we choose, does it? It comes from those that are just thrust upon us. You can almost feel her sense of injustice and fear.
That's a really critical observation. It raises that powerful question. To what extent does our character truly form under duress, when circumstances are entirely beyond our control? Violet is just dropped into this immediate high-stakes environment where failure, it carries the ultimate penalty, death.
Yeah, no pressure.
Right. Historically, this mirrors the grim reality of conscription in wartime. That's a concept that profoundly shaped generations, especially thinking about U.S. examples. During the Vietnam War drafts, you had individuals whose entire life paths were irrevocably altered against their will, forced into roles they never, ever envisioned.
Just overnight.
Exactly. And think about modern U.S. society, you can kind of see echoes of this forced trajectory in maybe young people entering highly competitive or unexpected fields. Imagine like a gifted high school athlete whose family's legacy dictates they join a demanding professional sports league, maybe against their wishes.
Or a brilliant student pushed into, say, a specialized military academy like West Point.
Precisely. Their perceived abilities or, family connections dictate their future rather than their personal inclinations. It's that sudden, non-negotiable shift, very much like Violet's.
And as if that wasn't enough intense pressure right at the start, what happens immediately after, described in Chapter 2 as the parapet, truly sets the stage for Violet's unique struggle. You witness her immediate vulnerability. She's physically fragile, but at the same time, this astonishing resolve starts to surface. This chapter vividly portrays her agonizing journey across the deadly parapet, that perilous, narrow stone bridge, which is the only entrance into the quadrant.
It's terrifying just reading it.
It is, and Yarros makes, I think, a brilliant choice here by openly discussing Violet's chronic illness, which we learn is inspired by the author's own experience with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. This condition makes this already terrifying physical feat particularly challenging, visually agonizing, and frankly, incredibly relatable for anyone who's faced physical limitations. It becomes clear it's not about her being the physically strongest, it's about this unyielding refusal to break. This scene powerfully reinforces how sheer mental strength can truly transcend apparent physical limits.
That's a vital connection, I think, to the larger picture of human resilience. It's not merely about what one is physically capable of doing, but what one is mentally willing to endure. The narrative's precise, almost painful description. It really makes you feel every difficult, treacherous step Violet takes across that parapet.
You feel the wind, the height.
Everything. And this aspect, this proving of worth through perilous physical and mental trials, it has ancient roots, doesn't it? It's reminiscent of medieval squires undergoing dangerous feats to prove their courage and, earn their knighthood.
Oh, definitely.
And if we consider modern American examples, think of Aaron Ralston, the climber who, when pinned by a boulder, made that unimaginable decision to amputate his own arm to survive.
Oh, incredible story.
Incredible. Or the awe-inspiring feats achieved by Paralympic athletes who constantly redefine what's possible, pushing beyond severe physical disadvantages through just sheer willpower and dedication. Their stories, much like Violet's on the parapet, powerfully demonstrate that an indomitable spirit can overcome extraordinary physical hurdles.
Okay, so she makes it across against the odds. Now let's delve deeper into Chapter 3, what our source calls meeting rivals. It becomes immediately clear that survival isn't just about the physical challenges. It rapidly shifts to navigating this brutal, cutthroat social environment. The hostile atmosphere is just palpable from the moment she steps off the parapet.
You feel it instantly.
You do. Violet's first encounters with her peers are just fraught with tension, particularly her first meeting with Xaden Riorson. His family's rebel history is deeply, complicatedly intertwined with her mother's actions as the general, creating this immediate inherited animosity. This scene starkly illustrates the profound challenge of navigating ingrained biases within these high-stakes settings.
What's truly compelling here, I think, is that pervasive layer of inherited conflict. It forces Violet, and by extension us, the readers, to consider how past events and family legacies can cast these long, dark shadows, influencing present interactions even before a single word is spoken.
It's like she's judged before she even opens her mouth.
Exactly. And it prompts a crucial question. How do you possibly earn trust when the very foundation of your existence, your name, feels stacked against you? This dynamic, it echoes historical precedents like, say, 19th century military academies or the rigid social structures of old world noble houses where family feuds and reputations often dictated social dynamics and fueled rivalries among students.
Right, you couldn't escape your family name.
Never. And in a contemporary U.S. context, you could draw parallels to maybe corporate interns in highly competitive environments like Silicon Valley or Wall Street. They might face immediate favoritism or maybe undue mistrust simply because of family connections or past controversies associated with their name or even just their surname itself. It's that instant judgment based on legacy, not personal merit. And that's the struggle Violet faces, proving herself beyond her mother's imposing shadow.
That's just the very beginning of Violet's incredible and incredibly dangerous journey. If you're finding these insights as compelling as we are and you love diving deep into your favorite books with us, make sure to like, subscribe, and maybe share this deep dive with fellow book lovers for more updates. Now let's explore her next set of challenges, where her wits, her intelligence truly start to come to the fore. Segment 2, Initial Trials and Strategic Thinking, covering chapters 4 to 7. So moving on to chapter 4, what our source outlines as first challenges, we really start to see Violet's true character emerge, don't we?
We really do.
While she's clearly physically outmatched during the initial training regimen, drastically so, her mind quickly proves to be her greatest asset. She demonstrates this remarkable mental sharpness and resourcefulness, consistently finding innovative ways to navigate obstacles that are designed to weed out the weak. This is where you really see her brain become her superpower. It offers a powerful lesson, I think, in identifying and leveraging your own unique advantages, whatever they might be. It's a compelling testament to the idea that strategy can, indeed, decisively trump brute strength.
That's a significant insight. It really underscores that strength is far from being a singular concept, isn't it? It's not just about muscle. It's a testament to the profound impact of leveraging one's innate abilities, even when those abilities don't fit the conventional mold of a warrior, especially in this hyper-masculine environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not the traditional warrior type at all.
Not at all. Historically, this approach, strategy over strength, has proven successful in ancient military tactics. Think about the disciplined formations of Roman legions, where coordinated strategy and tactics often outmaneuvered individually stronger but less organized opponents.
Right, the collective versus the individual brute.
Precisely. And a powerful U.S. real-world analogy can be found in the world of underdog startups. Think of a company like Airbnb, which started as just, air mattresses on a floor, challenging established hotel chains. Or innovative tech firms that outsmart larger, resource-rich giants, not through sheer financial power, but through clever strategy, agility, and market disruption. This mirrors Violet's method of using cunning and intellectual agility to overcome physical disparity and outmaneuver her adversaries.
Okay, so chapter 5 brings us to sparring begins. And you can almost feel every punch, every dodge, and every moment of exhaustion as Violet steps onto the mats. This isn't about Violet achieving immediate victory, far from it. It's about her unwavering refusal to give up, no matter how many times she gets knocked down, often brutally. The persistence.
The persistence. She continually engages in these sparring sessions with her rivals, proving her tenacity and demonstrating this relentless, incremental growth through sheer perseverance. This chapter powerfully encapsulates the undeniable importance of persistence in the face of adversity.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is the narrative's portrayal of growth, not as some sudden dramatic leap, a training montage leading to instant expertise, but as a cumulative effect of consistent grinding effort.
It feels earned, painfully earned.
Painfully earned, exactly. It compels us to consider a crucial question. How much of true mastery isn't about innate talent, but simply about showing up consistently, day after day, even when the process is painful and progress seems agonizingly slow? This echoes the brutal realities of historical combat training, maybe like gladiator arenas, where skill and survival were forged through relentless, often deadly, combat and continuous improvement against diverse opponents.
For a modern U.S. parallel, consider professional combat athletes, MMA fighters or boxers. They train relentlessly, they endure repeated defeats and significant injuries throughout their careers, yet they continue to refine their skills and mental toughness. They really embody Violet's relentless drive and personal evolution through constant, unforgiving challenge.
Now, prepare to be on the edge of your seat with Chapter 6, The Gauntlet. This chapter is just absolutely thrilling.
It really is.
You're left wondering how Violet could possibly succeed as she confronts this particularly brutal obstacle course where her physical limitations are starkly, painfully apparent compared to the other cadets. And then in this brilliant moment of insight, she leverages her wit, her knowledge from scribe training, and her strategic thinking to succeed where others, much stronger than her, utterly fail.
Right, using the environment, thinking outside the box.
Exactly. It's the ultimate underdog wins moment, a powerful demonstration of cleverness in crisis.
That's a profound takeaway, isn't it? It forcefully underscores that intelligence is, in itself, a formidable weapon. Success isn't always about being the physically strongest individual in the room, but often about being the smartest, especially when the rules of engagement are flexible and require creative, unconventional solutions.
Like the Gauntlet.
Precisely. This highlights the immense value of critical thinking in extreme survival scenarios. Historically, this reminds me of ancient military training courses, or maybe even Spartan obstacle races like the Gauge, which were explicitly designed to test not just physical endurance, but also quick thinking, adaptability, and sheer resourcefulness under immense duress.
They tested everything.
They tested everything. A fantastic U.S. real-world example could be championship escape room teams, people who thrive on solving complex puzzles under pressure. Or perhaps specialized military units like the U.S. Navy SEALs during their intense BUDS training scenarios, particularly Hell Week. They excel by applying logic, environmental awareness, and highly creative solutions under immense time pressure and extreme physical strain, mirroring Violet's remarkable ability to outthink her challenges rather than simply overpower them.
This brings us to Chapter 7, Classroom Dynamics. And it's a stark reminder, I think, that even within a fantastical Dragon War College, the insidious forces of politics, prejudice, and social hierarchy are everywhere.
Inescapable.
Inescapable. Violet navigates the academic side of Basgiath, delving into classes, absorbing crucial writer lore, history, dragon knowledge. But she's constantly facing skepticism and outright prejudice from peers, and even some instructors who doubt her inherent capabilities, mainly due to her size and her family name.
Right, the Sorrengail legacy cuts both ways.
It really does. Yet it's precisely her intelligence, her background as a scribe, that she wields as a weapon here. She fights back against these biases by excelling academically, reinforcing the timeless principle that knowledge is power.
What's truly insightful here is how Yaros masterfully integrates the complex world building, the history and lore of Navarre, through Violet's academic struggles. It's not solely about her physical survival on the sparring mats or the gauntlet, but her intellectual one, her ability to learn, adapt, and strategize using information.
Yeah, the history becomes crucial later on.
Absolutely crucial. And this forces us to consider a critical question. In a world fundamentally built on physical power, military might, and brute force, how does intellectual prowess subtly yet powerfully become a dominant form of power itself? This scenario has historical echoes in, say, medieval universities or powerful guilds with their rigid hierarchies. Access to and mastery of specific bodies of knowledge conferred significant status and influence. But newcomers, especially those outside the norm, often faced initial skepticism or outright hostility. In a contemporary U.S. context, we frequently see this dynamic play out with students, particularly perhaps women or minorities, overcoming entrenched biases and demanding fields like STEM, or within prestigious, historically exclusive universities. They prove their intellectual capability against deeply ingrained preconceived notions, demonstrating unequivocally that knowledge can break down barriers, challenge assumptions, and earn profound respect. This parallels Violet's hard-won academic journey. Her mental acuity proves to be just as formidable, if not more so, than any physical strength she might lack.
Violet's journey is truly one of resilience, wit, and unexpected triumphs, isn't it? If you're captivated by her struggle and want to continue exploring these in-depth discussions with us, please take a moment to like this deep dive, subscribe to Book Podcast Zone for all our future literary explorations, and maybe share it with someone who loves a good underdog story. Now let's witness how she prepares for the ultimate test, the terrifying, deadly threshing. Segment 3, The Path to Dragon Bonding, covering chapters 8 through 11. So, chapter 8, Bonding Tensions. You can almost feel Violet's deep-seated anxiety bubbling up here. She's preparing for the critical dragon bonding event, the threshing, a moment that will literally define her future or end it.
Yeah, the stakes couldn't be higher.
They really couldn't. She feels increasingly out of place, more so than ever, and profoundly anxious about her chances of success and, crucially, acceptance by a dragon. It's not merely about surviving the physical ordeal anymore. It's about finding her rightful place, feeling like she truly belongs within this dangerous and exclusive world of riders. This deeply resonates with the idea that true belonging, true acceptance, is often earned through immense effort and demonstrated worth, not just given.
Exactly. When we connect this to the broader human experience, it speaks to that innate desire for acceptance within a collective, doesn't it? Especially when the very survival of that group hinges on mutual trust and reliance. It powerfully highlights the raw vulnerability of striving for belonging when the stakes are quite literally life or death. Historically, this echoes the profound, almost spiritual bonds formed between, say, a knight and their trusted warhorse in chivalric tales. Or the rigorous process of a new recruit earning their place within a highly specialized elite military unit. In these scenarios, genuine trust and respect aren't automatic. They're meticulously built over time through shared trials and demonstrated competence.
You have to prove yourself.
You absolutely have to prove yourself. For a compelling U.S. example, think of a rookie player joining a highly competitive professional sports league, like the NFL or the NBA. They must earn the trust and respect of seasoned veterans through their unwavering hard work, their performance in practice, and crucially, how they perform under pressure during games. This mirrors Violet's arduous challenge to prove her inherent worth, not only to her skeptical peers, but also to the ancient discerning dragons themselves.
And as if the inherent danger of threshing wasn't enough pressure, we then delve into Chapter 9, Threshing Prep, where Violet faces active malicious sabotage.
Right, it gets personal now.
It really does. It's not enough that the trial itself is deadly. Now she has to worry about specific people. Rivals like Jack Barlow, deliberately trying to ensure her failure or even kill her before she even gets a chance to face the dragons. Violet trains intensely, pushing herself harder than ever, but she faces these deliberate sabotage attempts, drastically heightening the stakes and creating an incredible test of her mental fortitude and vigilance. This powerfully emphasizes the critical importance of maintaining unwavering focus and determination when confronted with malicious intent and external obstacles designed explicitly to make you fail.
What's truly captivating and chilling here is that escalation of threats moving from the inherent systemic difficulty of the college's trials to deeply personal targeted malice. It's not just the system trying to kill her, it's specific individuals.
Yeah, a whole different level of threat.
A whole different level. This forces us to grapple with a profound question. How does one adequately prepare for the unpredictable dangers of a lethal system when you also have to constantly guard against overt human treachery, against people actively working for your demise? Historically, this isn't a new phenomenon, sadly. It's eerily similar to historical tournaments or political competitions, where foul play, covert sabotage, and underhanded tactics were, frankly, not uncommon, demanding that participants remain vigilant, resilient, and utterly focused on their own performance, despite the unfairness.
Like rivals poisoning horses before a joust, that sort of thing.
It's exactly that sort of thing. In a U.S. context, consider the challenges faced by, say, athletes navigating doping scandals where rivals might try to frame them, or deliberate interference from competitors in highly competitive fields like cycling or long-distance running. They must persevere and maintain focus on their own clean performance despite facing profound unfairness. Or think of an entrepreneur launching a tech startup, constantly battling competitors who might attempt industrial espionage, hacking their systems, or stealing their intellectual property. It requires an intense, almost singular focus to overcome these deliberate, unseen attacks.
Okay, chapter 10. Threshing begins. This chapter is pure, unadulterated adrenaline.
Absolutely electric.
You can practically hear the thundering wings of hundreds of dragons, feel the ground tremble beneath your feet as they descend upon the valley. Violet enters this utterly chaotic life-or-death environment where these massive, ancient dragons choose their riders, and tragically, many aspirants do not survive the encounter.
It's a slaughterhouse.
It really is. It's the ultimate test of survival, courage, and maybe sheer luck. And you're plunged right into the thick of it with Violet, experiencing firsthand the raw, visceral courage required in the face of absolute chaos and overwhelming power.
If we connect this pivotal moment to the broader human experience, it powerfully illustrates that true courage isn't defined by the absence of fear. Violet is terrified, but by the profound ability to act decisively despite that fear, especially when the environment is completely beyond your control and utterly unpredictable.
Finding that inner strength.
Exactly. It's about finding your deepest inner anchor amidst an overwhelming storm of danger. Historically, this draws chilling parallels to perhaps ancient initiation rites in various cultures, or maybe the legendary Viking berserker trials, where individuals were deliberately thrust into extreme, life-threatening scenarios to prove their inherent worthiness, their courage, and their connection to the divine or the primal.
Trial by fire, literally.
Literally. For a powerful U.S. real-world example, picture the immense bravery of firefighters battling raging, unpredictable wildfires across California or other Western states. Or think of first responders operating in the immediate, chaotic aftermath of a large-scale disaster, like a hurricane hitting the coast or a major earthquake. They must act with immense courage, clear thinking, and decisive skill amidst overwhelming chaos and profound personal danger, profoundly reflecting Violet's unyielding bravery and rapid adaptability during the threshing.
And now, for what our source accurately describes as the pivotal moment of the first part of the book, Chapter 11, Dragon Bonding, this is where it gets truly fascinating and honestly magical.
A turning point.
A huge turning point. This isn't just about Violet getting a dragon like it's some kind of prize. It's revealed to be a two-way street, a profound, almost spiritual connection based on mutual choice and respect that irrevocably shifts everything for her. She achieves this defining moment of bonding, not just with any dragon, but with the immense, terrifying black dragon Tern and the smaller golden Andarna. It's a transformative experience that changes her path, her identity, and her destiny forever. This scene powerfully emphasizes the critical importance of deep trust and mutual respect in partnerships, especially when the stakes are this high.
What's truly compelling here, I think, is the active nature of the dragon's choice. Tern chooses her for her spirit, and Darna chooses her for protection. The bond is depicted as a reciprocal, true partnership, not merely a human acquisition or, domestication.
Right, they chase her.
They chose her. This raises a crucial universal question. How do we cultivate genuine, mutually beneficial partnerships, particularly when one party, in this case the dragons, inherently holds immense, almost overwhelming power? Historically, this echoes the deep, almost spiritual connections famously depicted between samurai and their horses, bonds built on years of shared experience and absolute trust. Or knights and their mounts in classic chivalric literature. These weren't just animals. They were partners in destiny.
Yeah, Lancelot and his horse, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Built on mutual respect, profound understanding, and a shared sense of purpose. In the U.S. today, consider the remarkable bond between therapy dog handlers and veterans grappling with PTSD. That unspoken connection is vital for healing. Or the profound trust that develops between search and rescue teams and their highly trained canines working together in dangerous situations. In these scenarios, a deep, often unspoken understanding forms the very foundation of their life-saving partnerships, powerfully mirroring Violet's profound and utterly transformative bond with Taryn and Endarna.
The threshing was truly just the beginning of Violet's remarkable ascent. If you're as amazed by her incredible journey and the depth of these insights as we are, please hit that like button, subscribe to Book Podcast Zone for all our future deep dives into the literary worlds you love, and share this deep dive with someone who truly appreciates a good underdog story wrapped in epic fantasy. Now, let's continue to her life as a full-fledged writer, where new challenges and shifting relationships await in Segment 4. Writer training and shifting dynamics, covering chapters 12 through 16. So even with the incredible power of 2 dragons now bonded to her, the path forward for Violet is, well, far from easy, maybe even harder in some ways.
If anything, the target on her back just got bigger.
Exactly. As we move into chapter 12, writer training, you can practically feel every sore muscle, every bruise, every moment of sheer exhaustion with her. Violet embarks on this even more rigorous training regimen as a full-fledged dragon rider, continuing to grapple with the intense physical demands, sparring, weapons training, endurance, but displaying this remarkable grit and an unyielding determination. This period serves as a powerful testament to the fact that true growth and mastery never come without relentless effort, deeply reinforcing the idea of growth through constant struggle.
Indeed. When we connect this to the broader concept of personal development, it vividly highlights that the profound rewards of mastery are almost always directly proportional to the sheer effort expended. There are no shortcuts, right?
No shortcuts at Basgiath, that's for sure.
Definitely not. It's a compelling lesson in perseverance, demonstrating unequivocally that even when faced with significant physical disadvantages, consistent, unwavering effort ultimately yields remarkable results. This arduous training period is comparable to the relentless and incredibly demanding regimen of medieval knights, which involved years of intense physical conditioning, intricate combat practice, mastery of various weapons, and expert horsemanship, meticulously shaping them into formidable warriors over time.
A lifelong commitment.
A lifelong commitment. A powerful U.S. analogy can be found in marathon runners or ultra-endurance athletes. They push their bodies and minds to extreme, often unimaginable limits, day in and day out. Their journeys vividly demonstrate how sustained effort, the willingness to embrace discomfort, and pushing past perceived pain points lead to incredible personal growth and monumental achievement, profoundly reflecting Violet's arduous and transformative journey as she learns to be a rider.
Now, let's unpack a pivotal development in Chapter 13, Xaden's influence. The tension between Violet and Xaden Riorson, who is now her wingleader, becomes almost palpable and increasingly complex.
The dynamic shifts significantly.
It really does. She begins to sense his conflicted motives, his hidden agendas, and the deeply rooted complexities of his loyalties, especially regarding the rebellion his father led. The relationship sparks with both undeniable tension, antagonism even, but also this tantalizing, dangerous possibility of romance. You're left constantly wondering if he's truly a friend, a mentor, a foe, or something far more intricate and compelling in between. This dynamic beautifully encapsulates the delicate balance of building genuine trust amidst deep-seated suspicion and inherited hatred.
What's truly fascinating here is that gradual, almost imperceptible blurring of lines between inherited enmity, she's the daughter of the general who killed his father, and a burgeoning personal connection. There's clearly something drawing them together despite everything.
An undeniable chemistry.
Undeniable. This dynamic forces us to consider a truly profound question. Can authentic trust truly form and endure when there's such a deep-seated, historically inherited animosity between individuals? Can you overcome that kind of baggage? This scenario echoes historical instances like maybe politically arranged marriages between warring families or strategic alliances reluctantly forged between rival noble houses during periods of conflict. Genuine personal feelings often develop slowly and cautiously amidst intricate political calculations and lingering mutual mistrust.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet, but with dragons and a war college.
Kind of. In a contemporary U.S. context, we can draw compelling parallels to perhaps colleagues navigating complex workplace romances within highly competitive or politically charged environments, like maybe a law firm or a political campaign. Personal connections must somehow blossom and deepen amidst professional rivalries in an atmosphere thick with suspicion. Similarly, think of rival business leaders who are compelled by market forces or mutual benefit to collaborate on a joint venture. They absolutely must find a way to forge trust, despite a history of intense competition and ingrained skepticism about each other's motives.
Okay, this next chapter, chapter 14, Squad Dynamics, is where you just love to see Violet finally find her people, her chosen family, within the deadly chaos of Basgiath.
Yes, the found family trope, done so well here.
So well. Violet begins to form remarkably strong bonds with her squad members, Rhiannon, Sawyer, Redoc, discovering unexpected allies, and a profound sense of camaraderie within this relentlessly harsh environment. After all the isolation, the intense rivalries, the constant threat of death, this feels like a genuine breath of fresh air, doesn't it? It makes you realize just how absolutely critical supportive systems and genuine connection are, even, or maybe especially, in the most cutthroat environments. It powerfully illustrates the profound idea of finding family in adversity.
If we expand this to the broader human experience, it speaks directly to the universal human need for connection and belonging, especially in environments that are explicitly designed to be isolating and competitive, to break you down individually. It strongly underscores that even in a seemingly cutthroat world, the power of tribal loyalty and mutual support can be an incredibly potent force for survival and well-being. You see them start to protect each other.
They absolutely do.
This phenomenon is strikingly similar to the deep loyalty and unbreakable camaraderie that famously developed within WWII combat squads, a concept immortalized in historical accounts like Stephen Ambrose's Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Soldiers relied implicitly on each other for their very survival and forged lifelong, unbreakable bonds through shared trauma and triumph.
Yeah.
In the U.S., a compelling analogy would be perhaps startup teams or small businesses uniting under immense pressure and impossibly tight deadlines. Individuals within these groups quickly become a tight-knit unit, relying implicitly on each other's unique strengths to overcome daunting challenges and achieve collective success. They succeed or fail together.
Right, that shared mission.
Exactly. Similarly, think of groups of volunteers rapidly responding to a major disaster, a hurricane, a wildfire. They form quick, incredibly strong bonds out of a shared urgent purpose, relying on each other completely.
Now, prepare to cheer for Violet again as we discuss Chapter 15, Combat Training. She's no longer merely surviving these sessions. She's actively excelling, demonstrating an incredible transformation, and showing everyone, especially the doubters like Dane, just how profoundly wrong they were about her capabilities.
Her confidence is growing.
It really is. She faces these intense combat drills, continuously proving her inherent worth and steadily growing in skill using daggers coated in poison, leveraging her speed and intelligence, consistently earning the respect of her peers, and even grudging acknowledgement from some of her former detractors. This progress is incredibly satisfying to witness as a reader, and it speaks directly to the powerful idea of proving doubters wrong through tangible, undeniable results. You can't argue with her success on the mat anymore.
What's truly captivating here is the concrete, undeniable nature of her progress. It's not simply about Violet's internal growth or feeling more confident. It's about the external validation she earns through demonstrated competence and consistent improvement in a very public arena.
Right, everyone sees it.
Everyone sees it. This brings us to a compelling question. How much of our deepest motivation truly stems from proving something to ourselves, fulfilling our own potential, versus the equally powerful drive to prove something to others, particularly those who have dismissed us or underestimated us? Historically, this is vividly comparable to perhaps samurai duels or gladiatorial contests, where direct combat skill was the ultimate, irrefutable arbiter of worth, immediately earning profound respect or fear from onlookers and opponents alike. Performance mattered above all else.
Yeah.
A powerful U.S. real-world example can be seen in the remarkable achievements of women breaking barriers in military roles, such as female fighter pilots successfully graduating from Top Gun, or women completing grueling special forces training in the U.S. military. These individuals have broken significant barriers and earned universal respect through their exceptional performance in traditionally male-dominated and incredibly high-stakes fields, powerfully mirroring Violet's fight to overcome prejudice through her undeniable skill and relentless dedication.
So not only has Violet bonded with two dragons, survived threshing, found allies, and started kicking butt in combat training, but she's now learning to harness the incredible, awesome powers that come with her bond. Chapter 16, dragon powers.
Yes, the magic system starts to unfold here.
It does. Violet begins to truly understand and actively utilize her dragon's unique abilities. Taryn grants her the power to wield lightning, a power that manifests initially as immense pain but eventually becomes controllable. And she starts to learn about Andarna's unique time-stopping ability. She's steadily gaining increasing confidence in her newfound powers as a rider. You can almost feel her confidence surge, a palpable sense of empowerment that radiates from her as she starts to grasp what she's capable of. This moment perfectly aligns with the transformative idea of embracing and leveraging one's unique strengths.
If we connect this to the broader concept of personal growth and capability, it profoundly highlights the importance of recognizing one's unique advantages, even ones that seem like weaknesses initially, like her size, and then fully committing to developing them. It serves as a potent reminder that often true power doesn't come from conforming to conventional expectations or trying to be like everyone else, but rather from embracing and amplifying what inherently makes us different and unique. Taryn chose her for her mind, remember?
Right, her scribe's minds.
Exactly. This discovery of power is akin to ancient alchemists meticulously discovering the unique, often hidden properties of various elements, unlocking their potential. Or skilled artisans mastering highly specialized tools, enabling them to create things previously impossible. The discovery and subsequent application of new, powerful abilities are inherently transformative. In a U.S. context, consider a brilliant coder mastering cutting-edge AI development tools, suddenly able to build things they couldn't before. Or a data scientist leveraging advanced algorithms to solve incredibly complex problems in medicine or finance. Their deep understanding and application of these cutting-edge capabilities lead to significant professional growth and widespread impact, directly reflecting Violet's development as she harnesses her lightning. Or even think of a sports team that discovers and masterfully executes a unique play, like a specific offensive formation in football, that brilliantly leverages the specific, often unconventional strengths of their roster to dominate their opponents. It's about finding and exploiting your unique edge.
Violet is truly coming into her own, transforming before our very eyes. If you're loving this deep dive into her growth, her struggles, and her incredible triumphs, please take a moment to like this deep dive, subscribe to Book Podcast Zone to join us for future literary explorations, and share it with friends who appreciate a strong female lead and a captivating narrative. Next up, the intrigue deepens considerably. Relationships get even more complicated and the stakes rise even higher. Segment 5. Deepening Intrigue and Relationships, Chapters 17 through 21. Okay, so just when you might think Violet could catch a well-deserved break, maybe focus on training, nope. The threats intensify dramatically. As we enter Chapter 17, rivals, particularly Jack Barlow and his cronies, continue to relentlessly target Violet.
He just won't quit.
He will not quit. They escalate the dangers and complex plots against her, forcing her to remain in this constant state of hypervigilance, always looking over her shoulder. It's a stark illustration that survival in Basgiath isn't a one-time achievement, like passing threshing. It's an ongoing, relentless battle for existence, powerfully highlighting the concept of unwavering resilience against persistent, insidious plots.
Indeed. What's truly intriguing and disturbing here is that subtle but significant shift we talked about earlier, but now it's even more pronounced. The threats move from the overt physical challenges of training to far more insidious, covert, and often unseen attempts to undermine or directly harm her. It's not just about winning a spar, it's about surviving assassination attempts.
Right, the danger feels more constant, more unpredictable.
Exactly. This raises a crucial question for all of us, maybe in less lethal contexts.
Yeah.
How do you effectively defend against enemies you cannot always see, whose next move is perpetually unpredictable, who operate in the shadows? Historically, this is vividly comparable to the intricate court intrigues within powerful monarchies, like the courts of Henry VIII or Louis XIV, or the complex political conspiracies of past eras where enemies incessantly plotted and schemed against those in power or against rising stars who threatened their established positions. Jealousy and ambition fueled constant danger. A powerful U.S. example, though maybe controversial, could be the experience of whistleblowers who expose government or corporate wrongdoing. Think of someone like Edward Snowden, or earlier figures who faced intense government pressure, or dedicated investigative journalists who dig into powerful entities. They often face relentless retaliation, severe legal threats, professional ruin, and even profound physical danger for daring to expose hidden truths. Their ongoing need for resilience in the face of such persistent maliciousness profoundly parallels Violet's precarious situation. Similarly, Consider a company grappling with sophisticated industrial espionage, where unseen adversaries are constantly attempting to undermine its operations through covert means, stealing secrets, sabotaging projects.
Okay, let's unpack this next development because it's crucial. As we delve into Chapter 18, Xaden's past, Xaden becomes progressively more intriguing and just maybe a little more sympathetic.
Well, more complex, certainly.
More complex, yes. Violet begins to gain deeper glimpses into his remarkably complicated past, particularly the Tirish rebellion led by his father, Xaden Riorson, and the brutal consequences enforced by General Sorrengail. She learns about the Marked Ones, the children of the rebellion leaders forced into the Riders Quadrant. This only serves to intensify the intrigue surrounding him and subtly shift her perception of him. You start to question absolutely everything you thought you knew about his motivations and allegiances. Is he just a villain seeking revenge, or is there more to it? It's fantastic character development, and it truly brings to light the essential idea of trying to understand your perceived enemies.
If we connect this to the broader human experience, it powerfully highlights that individuals are rarely, if ever, purely good or purely evil, are they? There are always intricate layers of motivation, history, personal trauma, and circumstance. And comprehending those layers is absolutely crucial for navigating complex relationships, especially within a conflict-ridden environment like Basgiath, where everyone has secrets and survival often depends on alliances. Historically, this complexity can be compared to the intricate, often morally ambiguous motives of skies during the Cold War, perhaps, or the constantly shifting allegiances between rival factions in ancient civil wars, where personal loyalties, political ideologies, and deep-seated grievances were deeply and confusingly intertwined. Motivations were rarely simple. In a contemporary U.S. context, consider diplomats attempting to navigate deep-seated rivalries between nations. Understanding the historical grievances, the cultural perspectives, and the underlying political motivations of opposing parties is absolutely crucial for any potential resolution, however fragile, or even just managing an uneasy truce. This dynamic profoundly echoes Violet's growing curiosity and desperate need to truly understand Xaden's deeper motivations. Why does he do what he does? Similarly, think of a lawyer diligently working to understand the full, nuanced context of an opponent's case in a complex trial, not just the surface arguments, but the human story behind it, in order to better represent their client or reach a fair settlement.
You just love to witness the squad truly transforming into a cohesive, functioning team here, particularly as we explore Chapter 19, Squad Challenges.
Yeah, they start clicking.
They really do. Violet Squad faces demanding group trials and challenges like navigating treacherous terrain or coordinated drills, which further test their burgeoning unity and fundamentally force them to rely implicitly on each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses to succeed. It's no longer solely about Violet's individual survival or brilliance. It's profoundly about every member pulling their collective weight, communicating effectively, and contributing to the shared goal. That's what makes a truly compelling narrative, right? That synergy. This powerfully demonstrates the undeniable strength that comes from unity.
What's truly compelling here is the organic and authentic development of profound trust and deep interdependence within the group. They go from suspicious rivals to, well, maybe not friends yet, but a functioning unit.
A unit, exactly.
This progression raises a critical question for anyone involved in teamwork. How do disparate groups of individuals genuinely transform into truly cohesive, high-performing units that can face any challenge together, especially under intense pressure? Historically, this is powerfully comparable to the strategic tactics of Roman legions, where the formidable strength of the entire unit resided not just in individual skill, but in its perfectly coordinated movements, discipline, and the unwavering support individual soldiers provided to one another, ultimately leading to collective triumph against formidable odds. The whole was greater than the sum of its parts. In the U.S., a wonderful analogy would be underdog sports teams. Maybe a high school basketball team making an improbable Cinderella run in the state playoffs, as you mentioned earlier. They rally together, often overcoming individual weaknesses through a potent combination of collective strength, smart coaching, and brilliant strategic plays. This mirrors Violet Squad's burgeoning cohesion and their collective power. Or, again, emergency response teams coordinating their complex efforts during a massive crisis. Firefighters, police, paramedics, all working together seamlessly. Unity and synchronized action are absolutely paramount for success.
Here's where it gets really interesting for those who appreciate the romantic tension woven into the narrative. Chapter 20, Romantic Sparks.
Heating up.
Definitely heating up. The undeniable chemistry and romantic tension between Violet and Xaden continue to grow significantly, hinting at a deepening relationship despite the continuous life-threatening risks and the shadows of their families' pasts constantly surrounding them. There are stolen moments, intense training sessions that blur lines, a growing awareness of each other. The stakes are deadly, the environment is brutal, but their chemistry is utterly undeniable. It compels you to root for them even more fiercely, and it powerfully exemplifies the enduring idea of love defying immense odds.
If we connect this to the broader human experience, it speaks profoundly to the innate human need for connection and intimacy, even or perhaps especially when existing within the most hostile and perilous environments imaginable. Maybe that danger even fuels the connection.
Could be.
It strongly suggests that love can be a powerful, almost essential counterpoint to pervasive fear, brutality, and uncertainty, providing solace, motivation, and strength. Historically, this reminds us of countless wartime romances, where intense passion and deep connection often blossom fiercely and rapidly amidst the profound uncertainty and existential peril of conflict, forging bonds that transcended the surrounding chaos.
Like Casablanca.
Exactly like Casablanca. In a contemporary U.S. context, consider intercultural couples or perhaps LGBTQ+ couples who bravely face significant societal biases and immense external pressures, yet remain committed and deeply loving. Their enduring relationships vividly demonstrate love's remarkable ability to persist and thrive against overwhelming external adversity, powerfully echoing Violet and Xaden's evolving bond against the backdrop of war and prejudice. Or think of couples navigating extremely challenging long-distance relationships, perhaps through military deployments, finding profound and creative ways to maintain intimacy and connection despite significant physical separation and the constant underlying threat of danger.
But just as things seem to be heading somewhere positive between them, doubt creeps in. You can almost feel that unsettling knot tightening in your stomach as Violet begins to question everything and wonder if she can really truly trust Xaden. Chapter 21. Xaden's Secret.
The other shoe drops.
Pretty much. Violet starts to uncover more of Xaden's deeply guarded secrets, particularly concerning his ongoing connections to the rebellion and the other marked ones. She begins to seriously question his true loyalties, his ultimate endgame, leading to a period of intense mistrust within their budding, fragile relationship. It's a universal human struggle, isn't it? That profound unease, that sickening doubt when the person you care about most deeply seems to be hiding something significant, something potentially damaging or world-altering. This narrative thread starkly highlights the absolutely critical importance of truth and transparency in any meaningful relationship.
What's truly fascinating and painful to read here is the immense personal cost that secrets can exact within a high-stakes relationship like theirs. This situation raises a truly profound question. How much truth can a relationship truly bear, especially when those secrets or initial deceptions might have been enacted for what were perceived as good or necessary reasons, perhaps even for protection?
Right, the "I lied to protect you" defense.
Exactly. Does that hold up? Historically, this is compellingly comparable to the intricate court betrayals of the Renaissance period, as we touched on, or the complex political maneuverings of past eras, where hidden agendas and closely guarded secrets could irrevocably shatter alliances and deeply personal bonds overnight. Trust was a fragile commodity. This still is. In a U.S. context, consider partners in a relationship, whether romantic or even business, striving to overcome significant mistrust after deeply held secrets or past deceptions inevitably come to light. This often necessitates incredibly open, often painful communication, maybe therapy, and a conscious, deliberate effort to meticulously rebuild trust, brick by painful brick. This profoundly mirrors Violet's agonizing doubts and the potential uncertain path toward reconciliation. Or consider a public figure, maybe a politician or a celebrity, whose previously hidden past actions are unexpectedly revealed through investigative journalism or social media, severely testing public trust and forcing an uncomfortable yet necessary reckoning with transparency and accountability.
The plot and the romance are truly thickening in Fourth Wing. If you're on the absolute edge of your seat like us, completely absorbed in these developments, please like this deep dive, subscribe to Book Podcast Zone so you don't miss any of our future explorations into incredible stories, and share with anyone who loves a good dose of intrigue, romance, and of course, dragons. Let's see what happens next as the narrative moves towards mastery, the exposure of deep-seated politics, and a shocking betrayal in Segment 6. Mastery, Politics, and Betrayal, covering chapters 22 through 25.
Okay, Chapter 22, Dragonflight. This is a truly soaring, breathtaking moment for Violet, and for the reader.
Yeah, a moment of pure joy. Pure joy and freedom. She achieves a significant and incredibly exhilarating milestone, truly mastering dragonflight with Tairn. This isn't just about technically staying on his back. It's about experiencing this profound sense of freedom, partnership, and an undeniable surge of confidence as they move together through the sky. You can almost feel her pure joy and empowerment as she takes to the vast open skies, soaring above her past limitations, literally looking down on the world that tried to crush her. It's a powerful reminder that all that relentless hard work, all those painful struggles, ultimately pay off in the most incredible, liberating ways. This moment perfectly illustrates how genuine confidence is forged through true mastery of a difficult skill.
Indeed. When we connect this moment to the broader human experience of achievement, it speaks to that deep, almost spiritual satisfaction that emanates from achieving a high level of mastery in a challenging domain, whether it's flying a dragon, playing an instrument, or coding complex software. It powerfully reinforces the profound idea that confidence isn't merely an abstract feeling you can just decide to have. It's very often a direct, tangible result of proven competence and repeated success built over time.
You earn it.
You earn it. Historically, this exhilaration and sense of profound achievement is comparable to what early aviators must have felt, like the Wright brothers achieving sustained flight or the trailblazing Amelia Earhart crossing oceans. They pushed the very boundaries of what was thought possible, experiencing an unparalleled sense of liberation and true freedom through the mastery of flight, something humans had dreamed of for millennia. In a contemporary U.S. context, consider a pilot finally earning their wings after years of rigorous, demanding training and countless hours in simulators and cockpits. Or a competitive surfer successfully riding a truly massive, formidable wave at a place like Mavericks in California. The ultimate achievement of such a difficult and complex skill provides an immense sense of confidence and an almost unimaginable feeling of conquering the impossible, profoundly mirroring Violet's triumphant ascent into the freedom of the skies.
But the narrative takes a sharp and much darker turn here in Chapter 23, College Politics. It's no longer just about individual survival or training. It's about the deep-seated corruption woven into the very fabric of the Basgiath War College system itself.
Right. The rot goes deeper than just rival cadets.
Much deeper. Violet begins to navigate these complex power struggles, witnessing exposed corruption, cover-ups, and realizing the significant systemic flaws within the institution her mother leads. She starts questioning the official narratives, the casualty rates, the very purpose of the war they're fighting. You literally see Violet's eyes opening to the ugly, uncomfortable truths of the established order around her, the propaganda she's been fed. This arc courageously emphasizes the profound challenge inherent in actively confronting entrenched power structures and systemic corruption, especially when it involves your own family.
What's truly compelling here is how Yaros skillfully expands the scope of the threat. It moves beyond personal rivals like Jack Barlow to the pervasive, insidious rot of systemic corruption and deception within the military leadership itself. This progression prompts a truly critical question. How does an individual, particularly one like Violet, who is, despite her name, still in a position of relative vulnerability, decide when it is appropriate to attempt to work within a flawed system to change it, and when the integrity of that system is so fundamentally compromised that one must dare to challenge its very foundations, risking everything?
That's a huge decision.
A monumental decision. Historically, this resonates with the initial stirrings of unrest during momentous periods like the lead-up to the French Revolution or other historical epochs where the populace, or individuals within the system, began to question the inherent legitimacy and fundamental fairness of established authorities, often sparked by exposure of corruption or incompetence. Consider young activists in the U.S., maybe like the Parkland students demanding gun control after the tragedy at their school, or earlier student leaders during the Civil Rights Movement or the anti-Vietnam War protests. They actively confronted powerful governmental bodies or societal norms, demonstrating the profound courage required to challenge the entrenched status quo, paralleling Violet's growing awareness and her increasing willingness to confront profound systemic issues, even those involving her own mother's command. This next chapter, Chapter 24, Ally Betrayals, truly stings. It hits you right in the heart, maybe even more than the rival attacks. Yeah, this one hurts.
It really does. A significant unforeseen betrayal by someone Violet believes she could rely on her childhood friend Dane Ados deeply shakes her trust and fundamentally challenges her entire perception of loyalty and friendship. He uses his signet power, the ability to read recent memories by touch, against her will, violating her privacy and trust in the most profound way, all supposedly for her own good. You profoundly feel Violet's raw pain, her sense of violation, when someone she thought was a steadfast ally turns out to be a traitor, or at least someone whose definition of loyalty is drastically different and harmful. It's a harsh, brutal lesson in the fragility of trust and the importance of discernment in who you allow into your inner circle, who you share your vulnerabilities with. This chapter powerfully foregrounds the agonizing process of coping with profound betrayal from someone you loved.
If we connect this to the broader human experience, it serves as a stark reminder that betrayal, especially by someone close, is undeniably one of the most painful and deeply wounding human experiences. It's not merely about the act of betrayal itself, the stolen memory, but the profound shattering of trust, the violation, and the agonizing, difficult process of needing to reevaluate one's entire social landscape, your past relationship, and your place within it.
Makes you question everything.
Everything. Historically, this tragic dynamic brings to mind the historical fall of iconic figures like Julius Caesar, famously brought down by those closest to him, his most trusted allies like Brutus, or the devastating, far-reaching impact of treachery depicted in countless epic narratives throughout history. Think of Judas betraying Jesus, or countless examples in Shakespeare. In a U.S. context, think of business partners, perhaps the famously complex relationship between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at Apple, with accusations of betrayal over stock options. Or other co-founders whose partnerships fractured due to profound disagreements or perceived betrayals, often leading to intense emotional fallout and lasting professional consequences, profoundly echoing Violet's deep pain and sense of violation. Similarly, consider the devastating impact when a close friend reveals a deeply personal secret that was shared in absolute confidence, perhaps posting something private online. It irrevocably shatters a bond built on trust and intimacy.
Okay, chapter 25, Hidden Truths. Here's where it gets really profoundly interesting. The plot twists just keep coming, relentlessly stacking up.
The conspiracy deepens.
It really does. Violet uncovers even more deeply hidden secrets about the college, about the war, about the creatures they're supposedly fighting, the griffins and their riders. And crucially, many of these revelations are intimately connected to her own family's history, specifically her deceased father's research and her brother Brennan's supposed death. This dramatically escalates the suspense and the personal stakes for her. You realize the sheer scale of the deception she's caught in, the immense forces manipulating events, and it underscores the vital idea of courageously seeking and exposing widespread corruption and lies, even when the truth is dangerous.
What's truly fascinating here is the seamless, almost agonizing way in which Violet's personal history, her father's forbidden research, her brother's fate becomes inextricably intertwined with the pervasive systemic corruption and the lies underpinning the entire war effort. This makes her fight not just a matter of survival or proving herself, but a deeply personal crusade to uncover the truth about her family and her world.
She has to know.
She has to know. This intersection raises a critical, often uncomfortable question. What is the true, often immeasurable cost of seeking and courageously revealing difficult truths, especially when those truths directly implicate powerful institutions, national security narratives, or even those you deeply care about or figures of authority you once respected, like her mother? Historically, this is powerfully comparable to major historical revelations like the Pentagon Papers leak in the U.S., which exposed government deception about the Vietnam War, or the Watergate scandal, where tenacious investigative journalism brought down powerful political figures, demonstrating how the uncovering of profound truth can utterly shake and dismantle entire societal paradigms and public trust. Consider the tireless work of investigative journalists today, like those who exposed the scandals at Enron or the Catholic Church abuse cover-ups, or documentary filmmakers who bravely risk their entire careers and even their personal safety to expose massive scandals and deeply entrenched systemic wrongdoing. This powerfully mirrors Violet's dangerous and deeply personal quest for truth, digging into secrets people will kill to protect.
The truth is starting to unravel in Fourth Wing, and it's absolutely thrilling and terrifying. If you're as hooked as we are on these stunning revelations and the escalating stakes, please hit that like button, subscribe to Book Podcast Zone for all our upcoming deep dives into the most captivating stories, and share it with someone who loves a good mystery wrapped in an epic fantasy. Now the battle intensifies, Violet must choose sides, and the personal stakes become impossibly high in Segment 7. The unfolding war and personal stakes, chapters 26 through 33. Okay, chapter 26, Xaden's motives. You experience that profound aha moment, maybe? Or at least a deeper understanding where everything suddenly clicks or starts to click about Xaden.
Yeah, the pieces start fitting together.
They do. Violet finally learns, or begins to learn, the full, complex extent of Xaden's goals and his deeply held motivations, especially regarding the marked ones and the truth about the border threats of Enin. This revelation profoundly blurs the lines between their past enmity, rooted in their families, and surprisingly deepens their bond through a newfound, albeit still cautious, understanding. It's far more than a mere romantic connection now. It's a deep, strategic, and highly dangerous alliance based on shared knowledge and a common enemy, which makes their bond even stronger and more resilient, but also more complicated. This arc powerfully illustrates how true trust, or at least functional trust, can be forged through understanding complex motivations.
Indeed. When we connect this to the broader human condition, it profoundly highlights that the most resilient and enduring bonds, even alliances born of necessity, are frequently those forged in the intense fires of shared purpose and increasing transparency, even if that transparency reveals uncomfortable, difficult truths about past actions or future plans. It's about moving beyond superficial judgments, beyond the labels of rebel or general's daughter, and delving into the true complexity of a person and their circumstances.
Seeing the person behind the role.
Exactly. Historically, this dynamic is strikingly comparable to the uneasy, yet ultimately essential alliances formed during major world wars, such as the alliance between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union during WWII. Ideologically opposed, former adversaries, yet they had to unite against a common, much greater existential threat, fostering a functional trust out of sheer necessity and a shared, overarching purpose.
Right, the enemy of my enemy.
Precisely. In a U.S. context, consider perhaps former business rivals within the competitive tech industry who choose to collaborate on a groundbreaking new project or even merge their companies because they realize they need each other to survive or innovate against a larger competitor. A mutual, deep understanding of their respective strengths, weaknesses, and overarching goals often leads to a powerful new dynamic and a highly effective partnership, profoundly paralleling Violet and Xaden's evolving, dangerous dynamic. Or think of former political opponents on opposite sides of the aisle finding crucial common ground on a specific critical issue, maybe national security or economic crisis that transcends their usual partisan divides, forming an unexpected coalition.
You can feel the palpable tension building, that almost eerie calm before the inevitable storm as we turn our attention to Chapter 27, Battle Prep.
The calm before. Well, more chaos.
Exactly. Violet prepares for a major battle, or rather, the aftermath of an attack and the impending countermoves. She's directly confronting her deepest fears about combat, about loss, about leadership, and steeling herself, mentally and emotionally, for the impending conflict and the responsibilities thrust upon her. Her growth is profoundly evident here. She's no longer merely a scared recruit trying to survive training. She's actively preparing herself and her dragons to fight, maybe even to lead, embodying the core idea of unwavering courage under immense pressure.
What's truly compelling here is that psychological aspect of leadership, even nascent leadership, when confronted with imminent, overwhelming danger and uncertainty. This scenario prompts a crucial question. How do genuine leaders, even those just stepping into the role, not only inspire confidence and readiness within themselves, but also galvanize and prepare their teams, their allies, when facing seemingly insurmountable odds and the very real prospect of devastation and death?
Yeah, how do you project calm when you're terrified?
Exactly. Historically, this relates directly to the meticulous planning and intense psychological readiness that preceded major historical military operations like D-Day, where leaders had to project absolute confidence despite knowing the incredible risks and the high probability of massive casualties. The stakes for hundreds of thousands of lives were incomprehensibly high. For a powerful U.S. real-world example, consider first responders paramedics arriving at a mass casualty event, highly trained SWAT teams preparing to breach a dangerous location. They engage in relentless, high-pressure training specifically for catastrophic crises. Or think of astronauts meticulously preparing for incredibly high-risk space missions, running endless simulations. They all profoundly reflect Violet's unwavering resolve to perform optimally under extreme, life-threatening pressure, demonstrating an immense level of mental fortitude and self-command developed through brutal training. Similarly, envision a high-stakes surgery team rigorously preparing for an exceptionally complex and delicate medical procedure, mentally walking through every step, anticipating every potential complication, projecting calm competence.
And this is where you truly begin to appreciate the enduring power of that found family we talked about earlier. Chapter 28, Squad Loyalty.
Yes, they really step up for each other here.
They absolutely do. Violet's squad, Rhiannon, Sawyer, Rydok, even Imogen to an extent, rallies together with an unbreakable resolve, strengthening their bonds of loyalty and camaraderie to an extraordinary degree in the face of the escalating existential conflict and the revealed truths about the war. When things get truly dire, when the world seems to be collapsing around them and the leadership seems compromised, you unequivocally know who has your back. And that profound sense of solidarity, that choosing of sides, is a truly beautiful and powerful thing to witness. It powerfully demonstrates the enduring idea of unwavering loyalty in crisis.
If we expand this to the broader tapestry of human connection, it speaks directly to the fundamental innate human need for tribal connection and unwavering support, especially during moments of extreme vulnerability, shared peril, and disillusionment with authority. It profoundly underscores the concept of collective resilience and the immense strength that springs from the deep knowledge that you are absolutely not alone in the fight, that your chosen family will stand with you.
Yeah, strength in numbers, but also strength in trust.
It's exactly. Historically, this dynamic is vividly comparable to the bonds forged within military units like the Band of Brothers in WWII, where the shared traumatic experience of combat loss and mutual reliance forged incredibly strong, lasting, and often lifelong loyalties among soldiers who had faced death together. In a U.S. context, use the powerful analogy of emergency crews-like firefighters or police officers during the harrowing events of 9/11 bonding under the immense, unimaginable pressure of catastrophic events. In such moments, immediate reliance on each other, trusting the person next to you with your life, creates a profound and enduring loyalty that transcends typical social connections, powerfully mirroring Violet's squad's unbreakable and life-affirming bonds as they face the truth together.
Here's where it gets really captivatingly interesting and maybe a bit steamy for all the romance fans out there. Chapter 29, Romantic Tension.
The tension finally breaks.
It really does. Violet and Xaden's romance deepens significantly, moving beyond just tension and shared danger into genuine intimacy, despite the continuous risks and the political complexity surrounding them. Their connection just seems to grow stronger, more inevitable, with every new challenge, powerfully proving that love, or at least intense passion, can absolutely thrive, flourish, and endure, even within the brutal, unforgiving confines of a war college on the brink of revealing its lies. This beautifully exemplifies the enduring idea of love defying seemingly insurmountable odds and circumstances.
What's truly fascinating here is that contrast we noted earlier, but now it's even more intense. The contrast between the brutal, violent world they inhabit, filled with death and betrayal, and the tender, vulnerable, intensely passionate moments of their connection. This dynamic prompts that thought-provoking question again, maybe with a different answer now. In high-stakes, life-or-death environments, is love a dangerous distraction, or is it in fact a vital, essential source of strength, motivation, solace, and something human to hold on to amidst the inhumanity?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Historically, this compares to countless famous forbidden loves or passionate romances that blossomed fiercely and rapidly during tumultuous times of war or revolution, where the sheer intensity of the period often heightened emotional connections and accelerated the formation of deep, sometimes reckless bonds. Think of literature set during wartime.
Yeah.
In a U.S. context, consider again intercultural couples or LGBTQ+ couples facing intense societal disapproval or external pressures, yet remaining steadfastly committed and deeply loving. Their enduring relationships powerfully demonstrate love's remarkable ability to persist and flourish against profound external adversity, echoing Violet and Xaden's evolving bond against the backdrop of war, secrets, and potential betrayal from all sides. Or think again of couples navigating extremely challenging long-distance relationships through military deployments, finding profound ways to maintain intimacy and connection despite physical separation, fear, and the constant threat of danger. That connection becomes an anchor.
The battle is now truly on, or rather, the consequences of past battles and the maneuvering for the future are in full swing. Chapter 30, Battle Begins. Violet is plunged headfirst into the chaotic and deadly political and military fallout, a crucible that immediately tests her newly honed skills, her raw courage, her alliances, and her burgeoning leadership abilities as she tries to navigate the treacherous currents.
Right, the fight moves beyond the physical battlefield.
Exactly. You are right there in the thick of it with Violet, feeling the visceral urgency, the political danger, the shifting loyalties. She's no longer just a fighter struggling to survive. She's actively making choices, influencing events, emerging as a leader, however reluctantly. And this is a profound example of dynamic leadership emerging amidst chaos.
If we connect this to the broader picture of human endeavor, It speaks to the powerful, often unexpected emergence of true leaders when circumstances demand it most. It's not necessarily about pre-assigned rank or formal authority, as Violet has none, but fundamentally about the inherent ability to command respect through action, intelligence, and moral clarity, and to make decisive, impactful decisions when everything is on the line and the future hangs precariously in the balance.
Yeah, she starts taking charge in her own way.
She does. Historically, this directly compares to pivotal historical moments. Maybe not battles like Waterloo this time, but moments of political crisis or revolution, where unexpected figures rose to prominence based on their ability to navigate chaos and inspire others, profoundly shaping the outcome amidst extreme confusion and shifting power dynamics. In a U.S. context, use the compelling analogy of military commanders making critical strategic decisions in complex, unconventional modern conflicts involving politics as much as combat, or CEOs navigating sudden, large-scale corporate crises that threaten the company's existence. Think of the Tylenol poisoning crisis response, or major environmental disasters. Effective leadership is unequivocally defined by the ability to quickly direct resources, inspire collective action, manage information, and bring order amidst profound disorder, powerfully paralleling Violet's sudden and unexpected rise as a key player.
You just keep cheering for Violet and maybe holding your breath as she proves herself over and over again in the heat of these political and military maneuvers as we follow her through Chapter 31, War Games, though these are deadly serious games.
High-stakes chess.
Absolutely. The conflict escalates, secrets unravel further, and Violet continues to lead, making critical strategic decisions that showcase her significant personal growth, her mastery of information, and her increasingly sharp tactical thinking, often advised by Xaden, but ultimately her choices. She's truly found her strength not just as an individual writer, but as a guiding force, a strategist. This arc clearly illustrates an individual rising to authentic leadership under fire.
What's truly fascinating here is the powerful demonstration that authentic leadership isn't simply about being in charge or holding a title, but rather about effective, decisive action, strategic thinking, and the innate ability to inspire and empower those around you, her squad, Xaden, even her dragons, to achieve shared goals, even dangerous ones.
Right, people start listening to her.
They do, because she's smart and she's proven herself. This progression raises that critical personal question again. How does an individual's deep personal journey of self-discovery and internal transformation, overcoming their own limitations and fears, align with their emerging, often unexpected capacity to effectively lead others to bear that responsibility? Historically, this draws parallels to perhaps historical war games and rigorous military exercises we mentioned earlier, like those meticulously practiced in Prussia or ancient Rome, where strategic prowess, tactical insight, and decisive command decisions were the ultimate arbiters of simulated success. But here, the stakes are real lives. In a U.S. context, use the compelling example of a project manager taking decisive charge of a failing, complex venture and expertly turning it around through smart decisions and team motivation. Or a political figure, maybe an underdog candidate, successfully leading a complex legislative effort or campaign through contentious debate and strategic maneuvering. These individuals demonstrate the profound ability to guide a group towards success under immense pressure, powerfully mirroring Violet's new, indispensable role as a strategic thinker and leader.
But this is Fourth Wing, so progress comes at a cost. Chapter 32, Losses Mount. This is where the story gets really intensely heavy and heartbreaking.
Yeah, the reality of war hits hard.
It really does. Violet experiences significant, devastating losses among her friends and allies, testing her resilience to its absolute limits, forcing her to somehow cope with profound grief amidst the relentless, ongoing conflict and the knowledge that more loss is inevitable. You truly feel the immense weight of these losses alongside her bleed. Liam's death is particularly brutal. It serves as a stark, painful reminder that even the most heroic figures suffer unimaginable emotional burdens, that victory is never clean. Yet she keeps going, she keeps fighting, demonstrating the agonizing yet powerful idea of grieving while still needing to function, to fight.
If we connect this to the broader human condition, it speaks profoundly to the immense emotional burden carried by individuals in high-stakes life-or-death situations, whether soldiers, first responders, or even doctors in an ER. It powerfully highlights the often unseen yet absolutely critical emotional resilience required to push through profound, debilitating grief while still being compelled to perform vital, demanding duties. You can't just stop.
Historically, this is starkly comparable to the constant attrition and devastating personal losses experienced by soldiers in the WWI trenches, as we noted before, where they were forced to compartmentalize immense grief, living with constant death, and continue fighting day after day, hour after hour, just to survive until the next attack. In a U.S. context, consider the incredible strength of survivors of major disasters, like the Oklahoma City bombing survivors, or those who lived through 9/11 in New York, losing loved ones and colleagues, but having to immediately shift their focus to survival, rescue, and the daunting task of rebuilding their lives and communities. Or think again of medical professionals working tirelessly through the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic, facing overwhelming loss and burnout, yet continuing their critical life-saving work. Their unwavering perseverance profoundly reflects Violet's immense inner strength and her enduring commitment amidst overwhelming sorrow and trauma.
Okay, let's unpack this pivotal moment in Chapter 33 as Xaden's truth. After all the secrets, the doubts, the push and pull, you finally get the full, complex picture of Xaden, his true motivations regarding the Venin, his past, his feelings for Violet.
The big reveal.
The big reveal. And this revelation, rather than causing a final rift, actually makes you, or at least Violet, admire him and their bond even more deeply, despite the danger it represents. Violet learns the complete, intricate truth about him, or at least what he presents as the complete truth, and it ultimately serves to significantly strengthen their bond through absolute honesty and a newfound, profound, shared understanding of the real threat. It's a powerful lesson in the transformative power of truth and the vulnerability required to share it, even when that truth is terrifying. This arc perfectly encapsulates the idea that truth, even when painful, ultimately strengthens bonds built on something real.
What's truly fascinating here is that transformative, almost alchemical power of complete honesty within a relationship, especially one forged under such extreme pressure and built on so many initial lies and half-truths. This situation raises that crucial intimate question again. How much of true intimacy and profound connection relies on being fully seen and understood, with all our complexities, all our past mistakes, and all our hidden histories laid bare and accepted?
Yeah, can you love someone fully without knowing the whole truth?
A vital question. Historically, this parallels maybe the complex negotiations required for peace treaties after long wars, where difficult truths about past actions, atrocities, or future intentions had to be laid bare, openly confronted, and ultimately accepted, or at least acknowledged, to create truly unified and effective partnerships or lasting peace. In a U.S. context, consider couples painstakingly rebuilding trust after a period of significant secrets or deception, perhaps infidelity or hidden addiction, often through difficult, raw conversations and therapy. In these challenging processes, the honest confrontation of a difficult past ultimately creates a stronger, more authentic, and more resilient foundation for the future if both parties are committed. This powerfully parallels Violet and Xaden's deepened and profoundly authentic connection, now based on shared knowledge of the real enemy.
The battle lines are now unequivocally drawn, the real enemy is revealed, and Violet's world is changing at an astonishing, relentless pace. If you're completely absorbed in this intense journey, her growth, and the complex connections forming, please like this deep dive, subscribe to Book Podcast Stone for much more exploration into the worlds of fiction and beyond, and share it with friends who crave thrilling fantasy and profound character development. And now for the gripping climax, shocking revelations, and that killer cliffhanger in Segment 8. Climax, Revelations, and Cliffhanger, chapters 34 through 39. Okay, chapter 34, Final Trials. This is it, the ultimate defining test, not just of skill, but of loyalty and choice. Violet faces a final climactic trial, or rather a confluence of trials, protecting Xaden, fighting Venin, confronting the corrupt leadership designed to push her to her absolute physical, mental, and emotional limits. It's meant to truly prove her inner strength, her convictions, and her ultimate capability.
Yeah, everything comes together here.
Everything. You hold your breath right along with Violet, wondering if she has what it takes, if she can possibly endure the onslaught, the betrayals, the magic. And as we've come to expect, she always does, finding strength in her bonds, her intelligence, and her dragons in her own incredibly unique, often unconventional way. This powerfully demonstrates the undeniable force of inner strength combined with trust in partnerships.
Indeed. If we connect this to the broader picture of human spirit and resilience, it profoundly highlights that true strength is not merely about overt physical prowess or raw magical power, but rather an unbreakable will, a stubborn refusal to yield, fueled by conviction and love. It's about facing your deepest, most primal fears, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the enemy head-on, and in doing so, unearthing reserves of courage and tenacity you never even knew you possessed.
She digs deep.
She digs incredibly deep. Historically, this profoundly resonates with the mythic hero trials found in ancient epics across cultures. Odysseus facing his final challenges, King Arthur pulling the sword. The protagonist undergoes a final, transformative test that irrevocably solidifies their identity, proves their worthiness, and shapes their ultimate destiny. A powerful U.S. real-world example is perhaps Olympians overcoming immense odds and profound personal struggles to achieve peak performance in their final competition, like Carrie Strug landing her vault on an injured ankle in 1996. Or think again of an individual triumphing over a debilitating, life-threatening illness, reaching that final stage of recovery against the odds. These instances profoundly mirror Violet's final proving ground, showcasing pure, unyielding internal resilience and an indomitable spirit fueled by her connections.
You can feel the sheer intensity, the raw, unadulterated force of will radiating from Violet in this confrontation as we reach chapter 35, Confrontation.
Showdown.
The showdown. Violet directly confronts a major foe, not just a single person, but the embodiment of the system's corruption and the immediate threat of the Venin risking absolutely everything in a direct, high-stakes encounter. This is the culmination of everything Violet has been building towards, every lesson learned, every alliance forged, every loss endured. And she is undeniably ready, embodying the profound courage required to face overwhelming fears and enemies head-on.
What's truly compelling here is that powerful culmination of Violet's entire journey, from reluctant conscript to active agent, leading to this pivotal moment of pure agency and choice. This dramatic confrontation raises that incredibly important question again. What is that precise defining moment when an individual transforms from being reactive, simply responding to external pressures and commands, to becoming the primary active driver of their own destiny and the architect of their own fate, making their own choices regardless of the consequences?
Right, she chooses her side definitively here.
Definitively. Historically, this brings to mind powerful historical moments of defiance. Maybe Martin Luther nailing his theses to the church door, or Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. Moments where personal courage and conviction were tested in direct, decisive confrontations with established power. In a U.S. context, consider brave activists facing down violent threats during the civil rights movement, putting their bodies on the line for their beliefs. Or maybe a CEO making a bold, ethically driven but profoundly risky move against powerful industry pressure or corrupt practices, echoing Violet's immense bravery and directly confronting her formidable opposition and the lies she's uncovered.
Okay, chapter 36, Revelations. Here's where it gets really astonishingly interesting and completely world-altering.
The ground shifts beneath your feet.
Completely. Just when you think you finally have a solid grasp on the world, the war, the enemy, the rug is completely pulled out from under you with multiple shocking reveals. Paradigm-shifting truths about Basgiath's true purpose, the nature of the Venin, the history of the wards, and, crucially, about her own brother Brennan being alive and part of the rebellion. It all emerges, completely shattering Violet's understanding of her entire reality. It's a masterful series of twists in the narrative, illustrating how profound truth can fundamentally reshape reality itself.
When we connect this to the broader human experience, it powerfully speaks to the inherent fragility of perceived reality and the immense power of truth, however shocking, to utterly dismantle long-held false narratives and ingrained assumptions. It challenges all of us, I think, to constantly question what we believe to be unequivocally true, to remain open to new, often uncomfortable information that might contradict our worldview.
It makes you reevaluate everything you just read.
Exactly. Historically, this is powerfully comparable to major scientific or philosophical breakthroughs that overturned centuries of belief. Think of Copernicus's heliocentric model displacing the Earth from the center of the universe, or Galileo's discoveries confirming it, fundamentally changing humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos, or Darwin's theory of evolution. In a U.S. context, consider scientists bravely challenging established medical or scientific norms with groundbreaking disruptive research that initially faces huge resistance. Or a major historical revision, perhaps based on newly discovered documents, that forces an entire society to profoundly reevaluate its past actions or founding myths. These moments profoundly parallel Violet's stunned realization as her entire world is redefined. And similarly, on a personal level, discovering a major family secret, like finding out you were adopted or that a relative had a hidden life, can fundamentally alter a person's entire self-perception and worldview just as dramatically.
This next chapter, chapter 37, Sacrifice, truly hits you right in the heart, showing the depth of the bonds forged.
Loyalty tested to the extreme.
Absolutely. Violet makes, or witnesses, costly, incredibly selfless choices and actions, demonstrating the profound growth of the characters and their unwavering willingness to put others, their chosen family, before themselves, even at the cost of immense personal suffering or death. Liam's sacrifice to save Violet and others is a prime example. You witness just how much these characters have grown, how deeply they care for each other. It's a truly defining, character-altering sequence, and it powerfully showcases the noble, heartbreaking idea of sacrifice for others.
What's truly compelling here is the profound evolution we've seen, particularly in Violet, transforming from someone initially focused solely on her own survival in a forced situation, to someone who consciously and courageously chooses to fight for others, to protect her loved ones, accepting the immense risks involved. This moral pivot, this willingness to sacrifice, raises that crucial ethical question again. Is true heroism ultimately defined by the grandest, most visible gesture, or by the quiet, selfless choices made in moments of crisis, the willingness to lay down your life for another purely out of conviction and love?
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Incredibly powerful. Historically, this resonates deeply with the profound sacrifices made by soldiers in countless wars throughout history, throwing themselves on grenades to save their comrades, or by historical figures who selflessly relinquish personal gain, power, or safety for the greater good of their people or their cause, figures like Joan of Arc or Nelson Mandela. In a U.S. context, use the powerful example of organ donors saving lives through immense generosity, often anonymously, or individuals who dedicate their entire lives to selfless public service or dangerous charitable work in conflict zones, making significant personal sacrifices for the profound well-being of others they may not even know. This profoundly mirrors the selfless courage shown by characters like Liam in this critical moment.
Okay, Chapter 38, Climax. This is the thrilling peak, the absolute climax of the action.
All hell breaks loose.
Pretty much. You are on the absolute edge of your seat, your heart pounding, witnessing Violet's incredible, almost superhuman strength and her unyielding will, combined with Xaden's power and her dragons as she faces a life-or-death moment against the venom in their creatures. She proves her ultimate resilience and her remarkable ability to triumph, or at least survive, against overwhelming, seemingly impossible odds, though not without devastating cost. It's a moment, a sequence that will forever be etched in your memory. It absolutely showcases the very highest form of ultimate resilience forged in the heat of battle.
If we connect this climactic moment to the broader human spirit, it serves as a powerful, inspiring affirmation of humanity's remarkable capacity for survival and its ability to triumph, even when battered and broken, against seemingly insurmountable odds. It's about reaching that critical point where failure is simply not an option, where the will to survive, to protect others, overrides every instinct to give up, to flee.
Pushing past every limit.
Every conceivable limit. Historically, this draws parallels to epic battles in mythology or pivotal historical conflicts where underdog heroes or forces rose to meet the ultimate challenge, often against impossible odds, and emerged victorious, or at least defiant, against all expectations. Think of the Battle of Thermopylae, maybe. In a U.S. context, use the incredibly inspiring examples of survivors of extreme conditions, like Aaron Ralston, who we discussed earlier, finding the will to live against all odds. Or someone like Nelson Mandela, enduring decades of unjust imprisonment under brutal conditions and emerging unbroken, his spirit unvanquished, ready to lead. Or think of athletes who achieve seemingly impossible feats of endurance and skill at the absolute peak of their performance, pushing beyond all known human limits to win, reflecting Violet's ultimate triumph through sheer indomitable will and the power of her bonds.
And just when you think you finally caught your breath after that insane climax, when you believe you understand the new landscape, the alliances, the threat, bam, Chapter 39, cliffhanger. Rebecca Yarros delivers another shocking, game-changing twist that leaves you absolutely reeling.
Oh, that ending.
Right. The story concludes with these stunning, unresolved revelations, particularly about Xaden's own connection to the Venin and Andarna's true nature, leaving listeners utterly captivated, possibly yelling at the book, desperate, and eagerly anticipating the next installment, Iron Flame. You're left craving the next book, aren't you? It perfectly executes the compelling, if frustrating, idea of embracing uncertainty in storytelling.
What's truly fascinating here is Yarros' masterful command of the cliffhanger. It's not just a random shock. It reframes everything you just learned. This strategic narrative choice raises a crucial question for writers and readers. How does introducing calculated, profound uncertainty at the very conclusion of a story not only enhance the overall reader experience by creating intense anticipation, but also powerfully compel them to not just finish the current book, but to deeply crave, almost need, the next one immediately?
Yeah, it's brilliant marketing, but also great storytelling.
Absolutely. Historically, this is comparable to the serialized sagas from the past, like the novels of Charles Dickens released in installments, or early radio dramas that always ended on a perilous note, or even ancient epic poems that intentionally ended with lingering questions and unresolved fates to keep the audience utterly engaged and returning for more, ensuring the storyteller kept their audience. In a U.S. context, use the powerful analogy of fans eagerly awaiting the next season of a wildly popular TV show after a shocking season finale. Think Game of Thrones' Red Wedding or the end of Stranger Things seasons, or the intense anticipation for the sequel to a blockbuster movie that ended on a major cliffhanger like The Empire Strikes Back. This perfectly mirrors the listener's intense, almost insatiable anticipation for Iron Flame after finishing Fourth Wing.
And just when you think you've figured out who to trust, the book flips everything. But this was just the beginning. In the next deep dive, we dive into the twists that left thousands of readers stunned, and we'll uncover what really makes Fourth Wing more than just another dragon fantasy. You won't believe what's coming. See you in the next flight.
Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the first part of Fourth Wing. It's truly been a privilege to explore this rich, dangerous, and dynamic world with you, and to uncover the profound insights within its pages.
It absolutely has. We hope this deep dive has given you a newfound appreciation for Violet's extraordinary journey, the intricate complexities of Basgiath, the thrilling romance, and the sheer power of Rebecca Yarros's masterful storytelling. Until next time,